the dead is a miracle, doc. They counted me out. Moment of truth, counting it down. Underdog story was down for the count. Back on my feet, back with a mic, back on the beat, back with a family that bang in the streets. The game on lock, I stand with a key. Standing my ground, I am planning to flee. Standing my ground, I am planting my feet. Taking a stand, embracing my destiny, shaking his hand, flipping the script.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Saturday afternoon CrossFit Talk.
Ooh.
It is day 2 of the Rogue Invitational. And I do want to say one thing. Like, I'm a bit torn because, you know, this show likes to follow our semifinal athletes, and a lot of them are doing Desert City Classic this weekend. And I hate that it's getting almost completely ignored because Rogue is overshadowing it.
Agreed.
Rogue is awesome. Rogue is great. And I guess Desert City screwed the pooch with the scheduling. But they probably didn't know because Rogue did move it ahead a couple weeks from typical time.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like I was watching Hattie and CJ Gerald and Madison, and all those guys kind of taking it on this weekend and rooting from afar for them. But I'm trying to get messages out to them, wishing them luck this weekend, and you know, wishing we could be there and cover it or do something like that. But it sucks that they don't stream.
Yes.
Because there's some really good athletes there.
Is Brian there?
I don't believe so. I believe he's at Rogue.
Oh, is he?
He's on his European tour.
Okay.
I know that our other friend is there.
Oh, yeah. He was there last year. And
I say that sarcastically.
He was there last year. I remember watching like all of his IG lives, trying to catch heats. And that was super helpful. So that sucks for them not having someone there streaming for them.
Yeah. I think we talked about it last week about things that could improve the season and CrossFit growth. And that is stream everything.
Yes.
Even if you have to do it on this is a grassroots sport anyway, right? So it's okay that the video is grassroots to start. Screw the haters in the chat. Just get it somewhere where people can watch some events.
Yep.
And that helps the sport grow.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be just Rogue and Wadapalooza and whatever. So, you know, I've been a lot of thoughts in my head for next season. Like what really should be our focus? What should we do to kind of help this out? Because I want a show to be able to continue to do and stuff to talk about, right?
Yeah, we need a season. We need
So now off of my soapbox and back to Rogue. Big news today. We'll probably lead with that, but I got up at 5 a.m. to start the watching of this event.
You're better than the rest of us.
From bed.
Yeah.
Fell asleep between events 4 and 5. Woke up in time to see 5. Watched that and then really got up and came down and then pulled up the tailgate party and all of that kind of stuff to watch. But we'll get to the events in a second. But the big news of the day is it appears that 2 of the athletes ruptured Achilles.
Yeah.
On the dual event 6. That was Gabby McGowan, who was absolutely crushing this weekend.
I know.
And it looked like finally taking that step from a really good teen athlete to a great individual athlete.
Yeah.
And
I'm incredibly bummed for her.
Yeah.
Like she was doing well in the event.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was beating the people that made the finals in her heats before the rupture happened. And we don't have confirmation that it's ruptured. It just appears that is what happened. I did watch the Savon recap of the last event. James Sprague came on, said that Heinrich stated that Heinrich Kapelainen felt like someone hit him in the back of the leg, which is the same thing everybody who ever ruptures their Achilles says. And then he said it did not look good for Gabby. She was a mess in the back.
Oh, I'm sure.
All that kind of stuff, right? So that happened. It's devastating. Heinrich is another guy who's been coming up in that European region and getting better and better every year. But Achilles tears are like a full year minimum.
I know. I don't see how she will be ready to compete in the. Yes, you can skate through the open, but
No way.
there's probably no way an online you can make it out through a semi, right? Like,
Lynn says Heinrich confirmed his on IG.
oh,
I'm good friends with Chelsea Nicholas.
mm-hmm.
She ruptured her Achilles at the CrossFit Games. Her doctor warned her not to do the open almost a full year after.
Yeah.
That it really needs 18 months to heal. And if you try to do too much before the 18 months, it could rupture again.
Okay.
And Chelsea did like the most aggressive, the Aaron Rodgers version of the Achilles repair.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know Chelsea, she is dedicated to rehab. She is dedicated to working out. She did everything in her power to move this along. And it's a tendon. You can't work a tendon and you have to let it heal. So are we going to get flagged for the Rogue event going? I don't think the audio would flag us for anything. We're not showing anything.
I got it turned all the way down.
It's all right. I don't think that would even flag us, to be honest. Yeah. But anyway, talking to her through her recovery, like in the steps and where she needed to be, like, this is just going to be a long haul.
Yeah.
And you need to be patient. You need to let it heal.
Yep.
Gosh, so it is. And if you're talking 18 months, that's through next season.
Yep.
And even probably like into like January.
Yeah. It's awful to make this much progress. Probably feel like you're at your peak fitness and have that just ripped away. So
I do have a couple comments that are probably not going to go over super well, but I saw on Instagram, the PFA was right there. Why didn't they do anything about it? Blah, blah. These are not things this is sport. People get hurt in sports all the time. You are by definition pushing your body to its limit to be the most successful athlete you can be. When you do that, things are going to happen.
Yeah, I know it's a controversial topic with the box jump overs and when it's programmed as a mandatory step down for safety. I personally agree with it. I think the problem with in these comps with like if it was just that event, if it was, even maybe the open or in your like that's one thing, but they just ran pretty far yesterday. Like their calves are tight. So when you have these multi-day events to not think about the safety and kind of mitigate that stuff, when they changed it to the burpee get over, I was like, that's what I assumed it was when I saw her get up and over or whatever. I was like, oh, it's going to be a burpee over. I don't know why that wouldn't have been programmed that way in the get-go.
I am not blaming the PFA.
No,
not at all. What I will say is to you is, yes, should safety be a thought in your programming, but at some point it's on the athlete to decide, am I going to push this to this level or not?
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
This workout could have been won without the rebounding.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't. I think. Do I think you maybe could have made it into the top 5 without rebounding? Maybe if you were a fast enough sled pusher. Yes, but you were not winning this event without rebounding.
I don't know. I think that like you take the sport of football, right? And they try to keep it as safe as possible for all of the players. But at some point, the linebacker has to decide, am I going in at 100 miles an hour to tackle this guy or not? Right? And that's up to the athlete whether they feel that the risk is worth the reward.
I agree. It's I don't rebound. I wouldn't do it even if I was gonna lose out several spots because of it. But I'm old and gotta protect. So
Right. And masters athletes have to go back to a job, right? And they have to do this stuff. So Kipping It Real says, we still wear helmets and pads even though it makes us slower. Yes, that's your choice. Well, and it's probably mandated. The league actually probably makes that a mandate. I'm tired of the blame game, I guess, with every safety issue, we're looking for someone to point fingers at. And at some point, like it is up to the athlete. And Lynn makes a great point. Laura made it to the finals before she started rebounding.
Yep.
Right. And then at that point, she said the risk was worth the reward. So I think that not everything is a programming issue or a PFAA issue. At some point, we're just athletes pushing ourselves beyond our limits. I do it at a local comp, and I'm not even getting paid for it. Right? Yeah. I made the decision in the last year that I am never competing again because my mind I cannot shut off, and I push to a point where I get injured, and I just have to stop competing. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those hindsight things. I mean, I would have programmed burpee box get overs, burpee hay bale get overs from the get go. I don't understand. That is even more like full body explosive power showmanship. So I would have preferred to see it that way from the get go. It was really fun to see Guy and Brent, their speed on that. So I think that would have added a little bit more excitement to it. But yeah, hindsight's 2020. Like now that you see it, you're like, yeah, we should have probably had the burpee in there.
I will say, okay, if they would have programmed the burpee from the beginning or the beginning of the men's run, I would have been fine with it. I hated the change midway through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was a little weird. I was like, oh, okay.
I think at that point, you then manipulated it. At the end of the day, I don't think the results would have been any different.
Probably not.
Right. The same people that were doing well before were doing well after. But I think on the women's side, it would have made a difference.
I think it would have made a difference too. And I just think you would have seen a little more global fatigue out of that burpee. I just think that would have probably been the way to go. But
yeah,
I'm not the programmer.
I would have been fine if they would have done that from the beginning or the beginning of the men's event. I hated the fact that they changed it midway through. It's just another ding in the armor of being a professional or a more legit sport. Like you don't stop a baseball game and say, hey, we're moving the mound back 3 feet for the safety of the batters. Right? Like you just don't do that. And so I just found that to be a bit egregious, but at the end of the day, I don't think it actually affected the results. Guy was going to win that regardless.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time. We dog him because he has these big holes, but my gosh, is he athletic. and he just looks pretty doing it. When he runs, it looks like an athlete.
Except for yesterday on shuttles when everyone complained that he was
True. But I'm saying today, like in that event,
I-
he looked
the,
majestic.
the way he would come off of that hay bale and like way out. So he was already leading that run. So I didn't watch this live and saw the alert like through heat one that there was an injury. And I, at first in my head, I was like, I wonder if it's the like pulling that. I thought maybe it was a back injury from just like yanking that thing up the stairs. And then I was thinking, what right before I saw it start, I was like, I almost bet it's from jumping off to start the run. Like I thought somebody rolled an ankle, did something, and then finally got to it and saw it. And it was actually kind of hard to spot. I was like waiting for it because I knew it was coming, but I was like in Gabby's heat, I was like watching Danielle, and then I was like, had to rewind. I was like, oh, ugh.
Well, you just notice an empty lane when they come off
Yeah,
the bail. That's the
right,
only reason I even noticed it was like 4 people were running down instead
right,
of then. Yeah.
yeah. So Keeping It Real says, I have a question. Does Gabby hold her points and then get placement, or withdraw? I'm assuming she keeps her points. Where
Yeah, but
that'll
I don't
wind
have
up
a
at.
clue. It's up to the event organizer how they set that up. If it's a withdrawal or because sometimes a withdrawal just pulls you out.
Yeah.
But if and that's what happens at the games. If you withdraw, then you fall
Mm,
to you fall to wherever you are. Like it happened after cuts at the games when people withdrew, and so they fell. Like when Ellie withdrew, she fell below the cut line because she did it before the next event, and they let Kelly move up and
right.
in, right?
Right.
And then when Jamie Simmons did it, she did it and she fell to 20th because they had already moved into the next day, even though she didn't start the next event. And we've made many bones
Well, she
about
just
that.
kept her place at 20th.
Right. Well, she wasn't 20, she was 18th or something. And then she fell to 20th.
Well, yeah, because people started getting points over her. That's the thing. Like that'll depend on
Okay.
her gap, right? Like she couldn't get lower than 20 at that point because no one else was behind her. But so had 25 people continued and more people with 4 more events had accumulated more points than Jamie, she would have wound up where she was, but she kept her points.
Yeah. I know someone in here asked a question about how did it happen?
Oh, yeah. Is it yeah, I saw that too. Novice question right here. Novice
Yeah.
question, but do they rupture out of not enough practice rebounding? Like even in b-ball, they get ruptures all the time. I don't know what causes them to rupture.
So I don't have the answer to this, but Sean Rocket, who is the orthopedic surgeon at the CrossFit Games, he commented on a Hiller post that he actually did a video on why this happens.
Okay.
And it's about the angle of the foot and the way it lands at a certain angle that stretches the Achilles. And so I think it's if your foot gets out of alignment of like over the ankle and over the shin, then the Achilles stretches further.
Yeah.
Because your foot is out of position. But he does have a video on his YouTube channel that explains why it happens. I just haven't had enough time to go watch it to get the full explanation. All of my knowledge comes from Chelsea Nicholas, who blew hers out and we became friends. And I just followed her rehab through her recovery.
Yeah. I mean,
And
in my
came on late Kipping it real, or Grant, and she actually is the one that told me 18 months.
Yeah. In my mind, it would seem like it'd be a starting. Like this format is for me in my mind would be like the worst format for it to possibly happen, but I have no clue because every other time we've seen it, it's been like bigger dense sets and it happens. So I don't know if it's fatigue accumulation, and that's why they're getting out of alignment. Or, but I can't imagine that the stopping and starting and going back to that movement helps.
Yeah, I would just say on Instagram it's 321 go MD is Sean Rocket's account. And I don't know what his YouTube channel name is, but I'm sure there's some reference to it in his Instagram. But he does comment on Hillers a couple times. He answers some questions for people, and then he finally says, "Hey, I did a video on this a little while ago. Go check it out. It's about the foot angle." So go check that out with Sean, because he's helped us out a ton. He came on when we did the documentary with Emily Rolfe, explaining her injury and how she came back from that and all of that. He's a really good dude and willing to answer any questions you might have there. So yeah, so the day started early, and we did the first one was the row, right? The row.
Haggett, the row, thruster, ring muscle up.
No, the log muscle up, right?
No, log muscle up was with the log,
log muscle up. And then back down, thruster, and
row.
Back
to the row, yeah.
And so that went pretty well.
Did it?
I thought it was fine, but like we talked last night, that log muscle up 8 people up.
Yeah.
Bad.
Once again, like over programmed. I mean, to 6 people on the men's side and 5 people on the women's side finish the event.
Well, I think the cap was short for sure.
Right. So either figure out your time caps, or if you're limited by time slots, then you got to shorten the reps. I don't know. Maybe you do 25 thrusters and 25 log muscle ups.
Yeah. When Emmett Hall didn't really break and got capped as she was running to the finish line in the first heat, and we didn't have a single finisher, I was like, this is going to be rough.
Yeah.
And we didn't, we got 3 women finished.
I don't know. 4. No, I think we got 5. Alex, and then 4 in the next heat. So 5 finished. Because Ann out of heat 1, 4 people in heat 2.
Okay.
Tia, Laura, Gabby.
They were all from heat. Alex.
Alex finished in heat 1. Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, you're out. You've moved on to number 5 with the sear dumbbell.
No.
Oh.
I'm on event 4. I'm just looking at the leaderboard now.
Okay. Yeah. Alex finished.
We had 5 finish.
Right. Alex finished in
Maddie
heat 1.
Sturt, Alex Gazan, Ariel Lowen, Laura Horvat, and Tia.
Yeah.
In that reverse order.
Right.
Bruce, this is what I said to her last night. And it flew over like a lead balloon. So you can try today. But I do agree. The caps were way short.
You're not going to
get their intention.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, that argument that's like, you programming for Tia is not good for the sport at all. Tia is in a world of her own, and it's no.
Lynn says caps were aggressive today all around.
Yeah. Okay.
They were. Yeah, the next event didn't have hardly any finishers at all. So,
well, if Tia's not good for the sport, let's not cater to her and program around her.
Tia didn't win today, did she? She won the first event. She won this event. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then on the men's side, the top 5 were Ricky Garrard finished first with Dallin Pepper second, Jeff Adler third, Jay Crouch fourth, and Yona Koski fifth. Yona making an appearance this weekend finally.
Yeah. So this was the one you thought Heinrich would do well on, being taller, bigger hands.
I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up.
Well, my 2 big things were were Haplainen and Sprague's, but both taller athletes, not being good on that log muscle up. And I was pretty surprised with James
Yeah.
and then Hopper not improving. We talked about maybe he got a hold of one, did some practice. I had hoped he would have shored up that weakness a little bit, but even in his talking head, like it sounded like he knew this was still going to be not great.
Yeah, on the
he did-
tailgate party, they were making fun because so the Buttery Bros were there for the second event today,
okay.
and they were saying they tried to talk to him and he wouldn't talk on camera before that fourth event. But he had talked to them on camera, telling him he wasn't going to talk on camera. And they're like, he is just a big ham. He always wants to be on camera. But he was like pretty nervous about that first event. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. I
It
mean,
was,
the men's was more exciting. They all made it to the row, right? It would have been really nice if there was a screen where you could have see like at the marathon row where you could see the boats traveling. That would have been cool because that was the race. It would have been cool to see where people were at.
yeah.
But
Because on the men's side, like Adler came out of nowhere, it seemed, but he may have been ahead the whole time on the row. The way they called it was that I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Adler, that Brent was ahead of him and Yona was ahead of him, and
it was Dalen that like was gaining on the row, and I don't think Adler knew he was coming. And then Dalen got off, but like we had no urgency. Adler almost caught him in the finish run.
yeah. It was a good race. But you're right, the cap was pretty aggressive, unless that's what their intention was, to show off that this was for the elite and only a few elites could finish. And we don't know their reasoning behind it. There was something here I wanted to. Lynn said that Ricky surprised me, but I keep underestimating his athleticism. Talking to Justin, I know that like Rogue is not the ideal event for Ricky.
Yeah.
He lacks like some of that top end strength to compete, but just pure athleticism and the ability to go dark at times and make up ground. And like, I totally do underestimate that. And I don't know why I keep doing it this week, especially in my Heat 1 picks. But he's been phenomenal and really fun to watch.
Yeah. He's just I don't know. It's hard to like keep putting your money on Ricky because there's times where he seems to not. And I understand he got hurt at the games, but like I don't know. You just get let down a lot, so it's hard to root for him.
Yeah. So then in event 5 on the men's side was our rope climb, Sear Bell,
Yep.
Devil's Press.
Yep.
It wasn't a surprise to me that Jayson Hopper did well.
No.
I figured he would do okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had Jeff Adler in second, Ricky Garrard in third, Brent Fikowski in fourth, and Dallin Pepper in fifth.
Yeah.
And then
I would say
Hyperlinen in sixth.
He did good.
Right before the devastating news.
Yeah. Ricky did surpass my expectations in this one.
Yeah, he handled the dumbbell really well.
I was surprised that most people did. I couldn't see Emily Rolfe, but I was watching her numbers tick on the side, and she seemed her pace was like outpacing some others. So I was like, she must be crushing this dumbbell. I couldn't see her, but I would have liked to seen her move it because, yeah, some of them that I thought would move it really well didn't look as fluid as I thought they would, and then the people that I thought might struggle looked great.
Yeah. This was the start of the Laura show on the women's side.
Yeah.
Where Laura came back. She took the win, Tia second, and then everybody else capped. Mm-hmm. Gabby was in third, Emma Tall in fourth, and Brooke Wells in fifth. Emma Tall is quietly having a pretty phenomenal weekend.
I feel like Rogue is really good programming for her.
Yeah, I agree. It is, but you still have to show up and you still have to perform. And she's sitting in fourth place at the end of day 3 or day 2, which is pretty cool for her.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets to do it in Europe, which is pretty cool,
Mm-hmm.
right? Brooke Wells took 5th in that one. And then Emily took 6th.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she must have been moving that dumbbell way better than I expected. I wish I would have been able to see her. I need to get the stream so I can view it the
Yeah.
lane I want.
Um, I looked at her Instagram from last night, and she posted her back squatting and said that this right here is my proudest moment. And it's because I know she's been working on strength.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's been pounding strength for a long time, and it finally, she got an 11th place in that, but that was her proudest moment
Yeah.
in that back squat workout.
I mean,
So,
11th is excellent in this field of
yeah.
very, very strong women. Like, to hold your own in that is excellent.
Lynn says, surprised Gazan wasn't in the lead for the dumbbell workout. I completely agree. I had her picked for heat 1. And I paid for that.
She didn't look as fluid as I would have expected on the dumbbell. I don't know that I thought she would win it. Because she's like that's a Laura workout, right? Like, heavy dumbbell, and Laura's excellent at rope climbs.
If it would have been legless, then I think Gazan has a better shot.
Or Emma.
True.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think like Alex came out of nowhere. She jumps from like 25th to 5th at the games, and all these expectations just kind of like offloaded onto her, right?
Absolutely.
And that's got to be a lot to deal with moving forward. And I think that's what she has to work on. It's not the physical stuff. It's the mental stuff of carrying that expectation. Like, Tia doesn't care what you think of her or what you expect from her. She's just going to go do her thing.
Well, she's extremely confident in her fitness to know that she's going to win.
But go back and watch the 16 behind the scenes. She was not.
Right.
Like, you've got to get past that moment.
Yep.
And I think that's where Gazan is sitting right now.
Mm-hmm.
And probably a few other people too. Like, and some people get over that hump and some people don't.
Yeah.
So if we move on to event 6, which was the duel, I do want an overarching statement. And I watched Savon and I listened to Chase. It was like he read my mind and he was saying the words that I was thinking. Is I love the way that these duels work at Rogue, these head-to-heads, but they've got to execute it better. The sitting and waiting long, the event takes 38 seconds and then you have to wait 15 minutes for the next heat. Mm-hmm. It is ridiculous the amount of time you have to wait in between while they calculate. And I get that they have protests, they have appeals, they have to deal with all that stuff before you can move to the next level. But his suggestion, which is all him, I'm just copying it now, is you do round 1 of the women, and then you take them off and you do the calculations. Then you do round 1 of the men.
Oh yeah, that'd be excellent.
And while they're calculating, you're doing the men, because as he said in this event, all you had to do is put some plates on the sled.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some plates on the thing you lift up the stairs. And then you let them go. And then when they're done, they go off. You take those plates back off. You let the women go round 2. And then when they go off, then the men go round 2. And at least it's more action, less waiting.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a good compromise for that. They're not my favorite event to watch. Maybe it's because of the waiting, although even I didn't watch it till I got home from the gym and I was able to fast forward. And even still, I was just meh about it, even being able to fast forward right to this. So Andrew says can't do that.
Why can't you do that?
I mean, you have enough people out there, um, equipment team and have a couple dollies or whatever you need out there and just leave the I probably wouldn't change the weights on that up and over or the deadlift thing, but leave the other 5 sitting at the end or 2
Yeah,
on one side,
changing
3
it
on.
out is way faster than it takes to calculate for 20 minutes
Yes.
while we're waiting. Like it
Yeah.
is. If you can't do it, then don't do these.
You
anymore.
can do it. He's saying the weight they moved. I understand that, Andrew.
Right,
Like I'm not saying add weight to it. I think they should have been pulled down, set to the side, and brought in the men's and set up there. That's going to take, even if that takes 2 or 3 minutes, cool. Way better than 15 minutes to recalculate.
This for the duel to take hours for a 30-second event is just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We agree, Carolyn. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying fill in the gaps. Keep the action moving with the men or something else, but it's excruciating. Last year was even worse. They were actually faster this year, but last year was really, really bad.
I didn't even pay attention when I was fast forwarding how long it was, but I feel like it had to have been at least 12 minutes. There was some pretty long stretches that I was fast forwarding.
I'll go back and watch a replay and do a stopwatch. It's not fast. And again, last year was way, way worse.
Yeah. I'm not sure it was 20, but I could totally see 15 minutes. And 15 minutes is too long to wait for a 35-second event. I remember there being technical issues with like the button that they pushed or whatever, just things like that. Man, you got to find something that's cut and dry. Like then you got to pick the right event to be able to do these.
Right. Again, the other thing that if you alternated the men and the women, it actually decreases the recovery time. And as Chase put it, adds an element of fitness to this overall. It's not just a sprint. It's a sprint and recovery event.
I like that more.
And Carolyn said it, in person, it was fun to watch, but yeah. But anyway, this is where we had all of the, this is where we had the 2 incidents of injury.
Right.
But at the end of the day, Laura kept getting better heat after heat after heat. And she ended up winning this event. Emma Tall looked awesome. Again, she had a great day 2. She took second. Danielle Brandon took third. Dana Paran, kudos to her. For a smaller athlete, she killed it.
Well, she's going to have high power output.
But getting over that hay bale could not have been the easiest for her. And if you know about her ankle injury,
I was wondering that. Yeah, jumping and landing on it for sure.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. And then Paige Semenza, no surprise, she always does well in these more athletic style events.
Mm-hmm.
That becomes more cardio endurance. You want them relaxed so they can replicate it. The times not become slower the longer it goes. I don't think you're cutting that much time off of it. It's just it's only going to be a couple minutes if you actually put the men in between the women. Carolyn says you can be small and good at the overs. You can be, and Dana showed that you could be, but I think it's more of an outlier. If you look at the rest of the field, they were pretty tall, much the taller athletes.
Right.
But super psyched to see Dana get a top 5 finish. that has to be awesome for her. Getting into the queue, getting a top 5 finish. So cool.
I loved Haley's skirt on that event. I thought she looked so cute out there. You never see, so like I saw her walk out and I'm like, oh, that's a cute outfit. Because it's like something I'm used to wearing for golf or tennis or anything like that. And I don't think about that stuff. Like you don't always look. I mean, we're always looking at these ladies, but I thought it was really cute because there's not a lot of events that you could probably get away with that.
It's funny because I was watching the tailgate party and she came out and I think it was Annie. She was, ooh, I love that skirt.
Yeah.
Like, and she couldn't get over it. Like she was
Yeah.
like all into it. So yeah. It bringing fashion, you know.
Yeah.
She's
It
a
seemed
trendsetter.
totally a Haley move. It was cute.
Have you, and this is kind of off topic, but Adidas is coming full
Yeah.
load at CrossFit, especially in Europe. Like a lot of the athletes are now wearing Adidas. It's either Tier or Adidas.
Yep.
And then you have that European group that are Nike, but
And then
but
a
yeah,
couple Puma.
couple Puma.
Yep.
But yeah, Adidas is, hey, Haley's must have signed with them because
I
that skirt was an Adidas skirt.
It's a good way to showcase it.
It is.
They're probably going to get some money out of that one.
And it was talked about, and it's still getting talked about apparently.
I loved it.
So yeah, that was crazy. And I love the look of the Adidas shoes. I've never worn a pair of Adidas in my life, but I've gone onto their site to look. I just can't afford full price shoes right now.
Yeah.
But it is I really like the looks of their shoes. I just don't know if they're wide enough for me.
Yeah.
Like I need that wide toe box.
Same.
So and then on the men's side, this was the Gui show from start to finish.
It really was.
And again, he looked majestic during this event. The way he got over the hay bale, the way he ran, the way he went up to the top of that thing so quickly with the hops. He was good. Fikowski not done yet. It kept with Gui a lot in that final.
Yeah, Tilly. This was, and that's the way these duels work. You cannot have a mistake. Like you just can't trip.
So-
which you said there was some issue with finishing that deadlift where they said it.
Yeah. So people got 10-second penalties for not sitting there. And I don't even know what you call that apparatus. But if you didn't get it completely over the red tape on the top box, you got a 10-second penalty.
So that's why we saw some.
James Sprague around. It affected Danny Spiegel in the first round and a few other athletes. And it was supposedly a safety issue, so it didn't topple back down the steps.
Makes perfect sense. I wouldn't even really thought about that. I think I noticed tape, but I didn't think about that because you could see people going from like the second step with it not far back. But yeah, you really, and I think that cost people where they got it, and that's probably why people are falling to their knee or trying to slide it before they hit the buzzer. Yeah.
I think people got penalties too for not getting onto the top box before hitting the buzzer.
Oh.
So that was also another thing. But the other thing I wanted to bring up is in the tailgate party, Annie and China were talking about that they actually love this format because the first few rounds you play it safe so you don't make a mistake. And then there's a point where you're not going to fall that far. And because of that, you can take risks if you're not, like if you're Fikowski and you're going up against Gui and you don't have the talent, that's when you can take the risk because the worst that's going to happen is you fall to second.
Right.
Right. So it's worth the risk at that moment.
Yeah.
And I love the way that they kind of talked about that gives you that in this moment that you don't get in other events that don't have the elimination style.
Mm-hmm.
But like Annie's like, yeah, I would have played it safe up until maybe top 10. Mm-hmm. And then that's when you have to decide, do I need to like go for it and then top 5, she goes, definitely, that's when you go for it.
Right.
So, yeah. So that was that. Guy, Brent, Jay Crouch, Pat Vellner, and James Sprague were your top 5 in that event.
So James, did he only get the penalty in that last round?
Yeah.
Oh.
So the overall standings at this point for the men are Jeff Adler in first, Ricky Garrard in second, Dallin Pepper in third, Brent Fikowski in fourth, Jayson Hopper in fifth. If you're Brent Fikowski, you've had 3 games fourth place finishes. You're going into the final day of Rogue and you're in fourth. And you're only 10 points behind Dallin Pepper. And what's your mindset going into that final day?
I don't know. I feel like Brent sometimes blows it on the last day, so I feel like he can't get ahead of himself. It's each event. What do we got? Go over the workouts, see if they're good for him. What we got lined up for tomorrow?
Let's go to the leaderboard on the women.
Okay.
Surprise, surprise, Tia Toomey still in first.
Yeah.
Laura Horvat is in second.
Yeah.
55-point difference at this point. Gabby McGowan is still in third, pending on what news we get for them. Emma Tall is in fourth. Ariel Lowen is in fifth. And Alex Kazan is actually tied in points, but in sixth.
Okay. Who's in seventh?
Mano Anganese, who's having a great
She's
weekend.
doing great.
Quietly.
Yeah.
Having a great weekend. Yeah.
Well, I'm still not doing good in Heat 1.
Carolyn says they haven't announced the third, but the 2 announced are great for Brent. And I know the first one is Gondola, which is the horizontal pegboard.
Yep. So we got Skierg, GHD, pegboard, Skierg, GHD, pegboard. So like 2 rounds, but decreasing reps.
Yeah, Brent's great on the ski erg.
Yeah, and I think he's good at GHDs. Yeah, that one will be good for him. Who else you got for that one on men's side?
I like Ricky.
I have, that's a pretty good. I like that guess. I have Pat for it.
Yeah, I can see Pat in that too. I actually, but it's long. If it wasn't long, I could see Guy doing well, but it's too long.
Yeah, I agree.
It's too long. I think he's good at the elements. It's his overall stamina to get through it.
Yeah. Yeah, 3. It's like, so it's 3 rounds, 60, 40, 20. Yeah, that is pretty long. And then Laura is going to crush it, right? Laura and Tia will both be up there.
Yeah, Laura. And the Heat 1 app, the prop bet is her versus the field.
Well, and that's even against men?
No.
Oh, it's not?
Her against women, I think, is all. That's usually what her versus the field means.
It says Laura versus field. Will any male or female beat Laura on Gondola?
Oh. I read that wrong. I need to take a look at that.
Yeah. I'd have to do some calculations there on Skier to see if she can maintain. Because I would say no. Typically, the men, even with the 80% kills, the men can still outpush the women. But she is incredible on machines. But my inclination would to lead to no on that against men. Could be another event 8. We got another sear dumbbell. We got double unders, sear dumbbell, overhead walking lunge, and handstand walk. 3 rounds.
This is what we call the Carolyn Prevost workout, the heavy double unders.
Heavy double unders.
That's what this show affectionately calls the Carolyn Prevost workout. The tester of the Rogue events told Rogue, "No, I'm not testing this one because you're not going to get any good data."
Yeah. Just have somebody test 100 double unders, add that time in. I'll test the other two. I'll bike real quick or something for that minute or whatever it's supposed to take.
Yeah. Gosh. See, that seems like a great Brent workout. That's an execution type thing. I just have this vision in my head of him like doing the lunge at the end of like on the last workout of the day, dropping the barbell or the dumbbell on a lunge at the end of the games. And he doesn't usually do that. But he's really good and calculated at handstand walking, making sure that he can do it generally. Right. I agree, Carolyn.
I agree. I think he's going to do awesome at this.
He does great overhead lunges, but he always, at the end of the games, always seems to drop when you don't think he's going to. He has made some mistakes on handstand walks in the past.
I mean, do we think it's going to be a handstand walk workout?
It's 50 foot.
It's 50 foot. Well, it's 100 feet. Is it 50 feet unbroken? Like a down back?
I don't know that detail.
I can't imagine it's 100 foot unbroken.
Not at this point of the weekend.
Right. But finishing with that once you're fatigued, the speed on that, it's tough to bet against Danielle, but there's a lot of work to be done before you handstand walk. So I don't know. Heat One app has Tia as the top pick.
Well, she's gonna be the top. She's like the top pick for everything.
Yeah, I feel like some people just picked her for everything, maybe even before they released workouts.
Tia's not fast on her hands, but there's a lot of other work.
Yes, there's a lot of other work here. She'll do great. She'll be top 3. So she's a safe enough bet. Well, if Haley hasn't fixed her double under, you can't pick her.
Right.
Not with heavy, like that would be not.
I think Ariel will do well. She's great on her hands. She's consistent on her doubles. She's getting stronger every year. I think the overhead lunge will be fine.
Yeah. Brooke should do well on it. I think that's a.
So, and then I just saw Carolyn's. There's a lot of great handstand walkers in the field, but I think it's the other elements. Like Haley is not, unless she's fixed her double unders. Danielle, I mean, sure. The dumbbell scares me with her.
I think she'll be okay for that. I think she's a pretty good lunger.
But why does she drop a squat like that all the time? Like, is her back acting up? Is it nerves? Is it? I
don't know. I'm a great lunger and I have no back squat strength and it really hurts my back. So maybe she has something like I do. I don't know.
I'm a great back squatter and I can't lunge for shit.
Well, so there you go. Not the same.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and what are those heavy double unders going to do your shoulder fatigue?
So this workout would wreck me for handstand walking. I just know like some of those girls, doesn't matter how fatigued they get, even holding overhead, they're able to kick up and walk good, especially people like Danielle. And I mean, I would say even Haley, I just don't know that she can hold her own on the double unders. I think both Brooke and Danielle will be very good at this event.
My pick is Ariel.
Good pick
for this one.
I will check on the men's side for that.
I think Jeff Adler's been just so consistent. I'm going to go with Adler on the men's side. Although it doesn't seem like a bad Ricky workout either, or Brent. So,
yeah, I'm going to go with Justin Medeiros.
I have no faith in him at this point.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not saying you're wrong. And this could be one of his good events.
Exactly right. There's always one that he comes out and it tends to be handstand walking or handstand push-ups that he finishes high in. What did he finish in the wall walk back squat? I don't think he finished as high as I thought he would. I figured with his squatting strength at this point, he would do really well. I feel like it
Was that
wasn't
event 2?
That was event 3.
Event 3. Oh yeah, with the back squat. He took second.
Oh, there you go. So maybe that was his good event. But I don't know. This one, you still have that leg strength. You're on your hands again. He's notoriously good for that.
But this just points out, like, he took second in that event. Other than that, 7th, 8th, 12th, 15th, 16th.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Crazy.
Yeah. And then we don't know the final. So, yeah, I think Brent, to your point, needs to just focus. He should do well at these two, try to get himself in a good position, and then we'll see what the final workout is.
Yeah. I hope he podiums. It's his last one, last hurrah.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to go out with a podium. Did you see how excited he was just finishing second to Gui on that duel? Like,
yes.
Like, it'd be really cool for him to have that moment to go out with a podium finish. And those events are good for him. And as long as he's smart, and we don't know what the last event is, but if he could just get up in there. Right now, Adler has a 40-point lead over Gerard. And then Ricky has a 30-point lead over Pepper. And Pepper has a 10-point lead over Fikowski. So it's all up in the air.
I mean, I think Adler's safe. I don't see him tanking anything. And at that, even maybe Ricky being safe, I guess he could tank something. But what sucks for Brent is him and Dalen are pretty similar builds. I don't know that they're going to have a lot of separation.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the men's field's deep.
Yes.
Gui can play a role. Vellner can definitely play a role. Medeiros can shoot in there at some point. Jay Crouch, sure. I mean, there's a lot of people who could middle.
Is Jay fast on his hands?
I think he's good on his hands. I don't know how fast he is on his hands.
Maybe it's Bailey Martin that's fast on his hands. I feel like one of them over there is really fast.
I think you're right.
Okay.
So yeah. And then just to finish up the women's division and their placement, and we have Tia with a 55-point lead. Then Laura has a 25-point lead over Gabby, but really she has a lot lead. 130 over Emma Tall.
Right. 1 and 2 are locked up, and they'll stay that way, in my opinion.
But that Emma Tall, Ariel Lowe, and Alex Kazan for the podium spot is separated by 15 points, all three of them.
Wow. That's going to be an exciting race tomorrow.
And Mano Anganese is only 15 points behind that. So anybody from 7th, because of the Gabby McGowan injury, anybody from 7th to 4th could be on the podium.
Yep. That's exciting. I like that.
What's your pick of those 4 women? Mano Anganese, Alex Kazan, Ariel Lowen, Emma Tall. Which one takes 3rd?
I feel like my gut wants to go with Emma, but I can't picture. I know she did terrible in the handstand push-ups at Tier Cup. I don't know how she is walking on her hands. But her upper body strength is clearly good. She's great at legless rope climb. She should do good in event 7. So it's whether she can
She has
hold her own.
massive shoulders.
I know. Yeah, but she's not good at handstand push-ups.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, when you look at her, her shoulders are huge.
Yeah. I think I want to say Emma.
I'm going Ariel.
Yeah.
Carolyn's going Ariel. Lynn, has Ariel ever won any event?
Well, yeah.
She's won events at the games.
Yeah. She beat Tia in the Elizabeth Elevated.
Yeah. But and she won the Granite Game semifinal a couple years ago as a whole thing, and I think she had a couple event wins in that. But yeah, but you don't have to win events to win big prize money.
It's true.
So, okay, can Laura overtake Tia?
I don't think so. There's not. So the problem with that, even if Laura wins, which she is capable, Laura's capable of winning these next even 3 events, even though we don't know the final. We'll say, I don't think there's enough people. I think it would go 1-2. So no.
I think that she can make up some ground on event 8 for sure. I think because Tia is not fast on her hands.
Right.
She's not fast.
This is a double under smoothness workout.
Yeah, but other people can be smooth
3
on
rounds.
double unders. That's not a big separator, I don't think, at this point. And then gondola could wreak havoc on anybody. That is a sideways movement that nobody really probably trains.
I think Tia will be fine. I wouldn't be surprised if they go 1-2 in that workout.
Okay. Lynn is actually all in on Emma. So she's starting with you, Jamie, of course. And Carolyn says it's not over. Well, this has been fun. Totally gutted for Gabby and Heinrich. Heinrich's one of the nicest people I've ever met. So bummed for him because he really was kind of coming into his own in Europe. And it was going to be exciting to see where he's going. And for Gabby, my gosh, she was right on the precipice of greatness. But doesn't mean it's over. It just means it's going to be an 18-month delay.
I know, but it's going to be so hard to work your way back up. I mean, Chelsea looks great, so it's totally doable, but
yeah, I mean, Chelsea's PR and stuff. Again.
I know.
And it's been cool to kind of follow her journey. So we know about what this recovery is like, and you can come back from it. And if you don't follow Chelsea Nicholas on Instagram, follow her because she has ruptured her Achilles at the games 2 years ago. She is back. She is killing it. She is PRing all of her lifts now. She has full ankle flexion again. It's super, super awesome. So it's a great indicator of what the recovery can be like for athletes who do this. Science has come so far in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Just from the Julie Fouché rupture to where we are today is like light years. So make sure you check that out because we're going to be rooting for Gabby and Heinrich to make full recoveries for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the gondola piece. Tia will be faster on GHD, but Laura will be better on ski erg. And Tia is athletic. And if I'm not wrong, Proven has a horizontal pegboard. I don't know. I've not been.
That would not surprise me at all.
Yeah. With that, it's been fun, everybody. We'll be back. We'll do our normal 8:00 show tomorrow night. It'll be just Jamie and I because I think it'll be like 3 a.m. in Scotland. And we don't expect Carolyn to jump on or be in the chat for that one. But we'll just do our normal time tomorrow night. We'll recap the weekend. We'll try to get some info on Desert City to see how those athletes are doing. Plus anything and everything else that happens in the CrossFit space, we'll be there to talk about it. Join us in the chat. We'll see you tomorrow night on Sunday Night CrossFit Talk. Till then, bye, guys.